Hello everyone, we are live from the Microsoft 365 Community Conference in Las Vegas, the biggest Microsoft 365 community event across the globe. And I'm joined today by my good friend, Gokan Ozcifci. Gokan, how are you doing?
Fantastic, amazing, very happy to be here this year with you again. So very proud to be with you here on that video about the keynote.
I know, I missed you on the last two, so I'm so happy you're back. And both of us, not even 30 minutes ago, we came out of the keynote of the Microsoft 365 conference, where we had some of the biggest names in Microsoft 365 show us what's new and what's next. So let me get started with the numbers. I marked them down because if not, I will forget. So I know you all love to get an update on the numbers. And the first one is quite impressive. We have over 1 billion active users in SharePoint. And Jeff was really proud of that number. He did preface it on what that 1 billion includes, because now the cool thing, SharePoint powers, I mean, it always powered a lot of M365, but now it also powers SharePoint Embedded, custom apps, and OneDrive Personal, which runs on SharePoint in the back as well. So for all of you that have been saying SharePoint is dying, well, I have bad news for you. SharePoint is alive, well, and over 1 billion people use it, which is an amazing number.
It is.
It feels like 1 billion users. Other than that, an even bigger number. I didn't think we were going to get bigger than 1 billion, but there are 2 billion Power Automate flows that go through SharePoint every single week. Not every month, every single week.
It's an impressive number. I was surprised when I heard that. That's impressive.
Yeah. Now, let's switch over to millions. I feel like we have to get back a bit to reality. Talking about Teams a bit, we have 320 million monthly active users in Teams, which is a huge number. But you know what surprises me, Gokan? In the last earning report, Microsoft said they had 430 million paid Office 365 and Microsoft 365 users. So that means there's 100 million people licensed for Teams that are not using it every month. So much growth opportunity.
Yes.
And finally, let's talk about something brand new, agents. As you all know, Microsoft has been all about agents lately. Microsoft has 1 million agents that are grounded on SharePoint. That includes SharePoint agents and Copilot Studio agents grounded in SharePoint. So those were the highlights for the numbers. Now that they're out of my head, we can talk about new stuff. So Gokan, what happened at the keynote?
So yeah, I have some of my notes on my phone. Basically, Jeff Teper, super energetic, came in, run as usual to the stage, and then he just explained us about the 4 pillars he wants to explain us. First one was about M365 Copilot and agents, then Teams, then SharePoint, and then finally Power Platform, which is basically Copilot Studio.
Copilot Studio.
He started his keynote by thanking us, thanking the community, thanking the partners, and emphasize about we leave our family home and bring that excitement here in Las Vegas for their tools and products. And SharePoint is going to become 25 years old next year, right?
Next year.
And he said there would be a big anniversary for next year. So if you plan to come, if you've never been here, it's next year the spot to be here, right, Vlad? 25 years.
At the M365 Community Conference, wherever that might be hosted.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I prefer Las Vegas, but if it's Orlando, it's Orlando. If it's San Francisco, San Francisco. I'm happy with anywhere in the US.
Just be at the conference.
Yes. So they started the keynote with the Frontier program first. Vlad, you want to mention something about the program?
Sure. So the Frontier program are all of the latest innovations that Microsoft is bringing, such as the researcher agent as an example. And they even shared some statistics around companies that they consider at the frontier and how successful they are compared to organizations that have not embraced the latest technology. So it was quite eye-opening to see those work trend index and the statistics from that and how it can impact the company at the end. And talking about a researcher agent, I know you really like that one.
I really love the researcher agent. And they even made a few demos around that. Like in a few clicks and in a few seconds, they were able to create a whole marketing plan about the release of a new shoe. And I really loved it. Like when we talk about shoes, like you were phenomenal with your shoes, and they could really do that in a couple of seconds. And that demo was really impressive. And I know, because of my background back in time with Valo, when I worked for marketing team, that plan could take us like weeks in order to do that. And now it was a couple of seconds. But not only that, they also talked about notebooks, like Copilot Notebooks. And that was impressive to me as well. Like she just created a notebook in Copilot and then just gave a name. And from that name, Copilot could just render a list of documents that she could use, right?
Let's recap what notebooks are for the people, because I feel like, I'm not sure I like the name notebooks. Well, but I mean, people paid more than me have decided that. But for those of you that have used ChatGPT, it's projects in ChatGPT, exactly the same functionality. Basically, you're able to create a notebook, a project, have a starter prompt, so kind of already tell your AI tool, again, whether ChatGPT or Copilot, we'll just talk about Copilot here, what that notebook is about, how it should answer, all the basic things you should have in a prompt. What is the goal, how you should answer, and everything. And you can even ground it in specific documents. And I know that's the part that you mentioned. They just entered a name for that notebook, and it found the documents for you where...
And she just selected the documents, and then she could just work on that and even create some data, publish them as a durable asset into Copilot pages. You know what? I really for a second thought this looks like Topics, Viva Topics. The fact that she created an knowledge space, put some articles, had some data. I was like, oh my gosh, Viva Topics, I still love you. You left us too soon. But that's another story, right?
That's another story. Okay. And something else in notebooks, we also had the audio recap.
Oh, yeah.
So now for those of, it's something that Gemini had for a while. I forgot what the name is in Gemini, the name of the feature. I'm sure we'll put it in the lower third below when I remember a bit later. But basically, you're able to give it a piece of content, and then you can have the AI summarize it for you under the form of a podcast. So many people, they don't learn when they just read stuff, but when they see two people having a conversation about that stuff, then they can relate to it.
Absolutely.
Now, you know what I wonder? I tried to use the Google stuff, and the voices they gave me were like, and I'm sorry for the stereotype, everybody, but it was like the California podcaster voice. It was like, oh my God, you won't believe what they just did. It was like just so exciting, so like influencer podcast that I was not able to take it seriously. And that's okay for a consumer tool. But I really wonder if for an enterprise tool like Copilot, can I dial up or down the excitement level? Can I have it more, to professionals talking? Or can I have it all influencer mode? It remains to be seen, I guess.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Do you like the influencer mode?
It was okay. Like, I was not that shocked, but it's okay. Like, I get your point. That's okay. And yeah, then finally they finished that first part, the first pillar, by showing the create option in Copilot, where they just created an image, right? And then they just added that image by adding text and, adjusting the colors.
But
and so
really important stuff for that image.
It is.
It's able to connect to your brand center in SharePoint. That's the part that I love the most.
That's what I'm going to continue on that. But the good thing is that you can connect with your organization colors, right? That's what the image, that's what she showed us on the demo.
I'm sneaking at your notes right now, but yes, you can have custom fonts. Like for Vlad Talks Tech, I use Cascadia Code, which is not a default font, but now I can have my AI image generator use that custom font. It's amazing.
Researcher, notebooks, create, search, all that thing we have seen.
So that's the summary of everything that was new.
The first thing that we have seen. Then we moved to Microsoft Teams, where actually they started, or Jeff Teeper started his second part by the 3S, secure, simple, and smart. I love that they use the 3S model. I don't really agree with all what they've been shown because Teams is getting slower and slower and slower. I get a lot of bugs, unfortunately, but hey, that's another discussion. But that's on how they want to aim to do that. And they started the keynote by new core UX changes and announcements, like, the fact that now Teams and chats are all into one pane. That's how they started with that.
I'm curious, for everybody watching these, please let me know in the comments, do you prefer to have your chats and Teams separated? That's how I prefer it, to be honest. Or do you like the new combined view? I'm really curious to get that post from the community. So let me know in the comments below which one you prefer.
I'm betting you 99% will say separate, like you and like myself.
Well, I think it's the people that come from a Slack background that doesn't have Teams, only channels in a way. They prefer the combined.
I know.
But it's you say you prefer Slack more than Teams?
No. Let's say no. Okay. Then the most important part for me, and the thing I really loved, was the recap meeting updates they announced, like being able to ask a meeting recap, and then you even get the shared screen as a response. That was pretty amazing, right?
I've been doing that demo forever, showing up late at a meeting, and you would only get the recap, which, don't get me wrong,
it's okay,
was already amazing.
But now you get that screenshot of the shared screen. Wow.
And not only that, even a whiteboard. Yeah. So they had somebody in front of a whiteboard write text by hand. So it was even able to detect that part. So that was truly amazing. And that's something I wish we had a year ago, but I guess I'm happy we have it now.
Yeah.
But it's just mind-blowing that we have it. It's a game changer.
And then the keynote, the second part of the keynote finished by introducing, again, the agents, like the facilitator agents for AI nodes, the interpreter agent for translation, like we had the real demo where the other lady in the meeting talked Spanish, if I'm not wrong, and then it translated automatically to English, and then some Planner Premium P3 project manager agent. That was something new for me, but you told me why.
Yeah, so I told you why. The unfortunate reason. So the project manager agent is not new, but it's tough to get. Why? Because you need to have an M365 Copilot license, and then you need to have a Planner P3 premium license. So it's not the Planner included.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the P1 at $10 per user per month. It's like $60 per user per month, in addition to your M365 Copilot license. Wow. So that's why you don't have it.
Yeah, I was like,
you need to start paying, Gokan. Come on.
I'll ask my
manager. I'm a Microsoft shareholder, so come on.
I'll ask my manager. Okay, so that was it for the Teams part, I guess. We covered all what they said. And then the most important of all. SharePoint, right? Jeff Teeper started a bit nostalgic because I think he is aware that 25 years is a lot. And he just showed the old wheel, the first wheel, I guess, created in Microsoft. And then he just showed the updated version of that wheel. I was like, I'm getting old. If I say that, I don't imagine what Jeff Teeper would say. Like, I was like,
are you saying Jeff is old?
Okay, next question. Then they started with the flexible sections. Like, I do a lot of site design for my customers, and I love the fact that we now can just drag and drop or elements almost anywhere into.
So you know what I love about that is the flexibility and beautiful design of WordPress with the content management capabilities of and enterprise readiness of SharePoint. So SharePoint was always an amazing tool, but it was tough to make it pretty. That's why, when we worked at Valo, we were making SharePoint pretty in a way. So now you're able to have that flexibility of WordPress and that kind of, that Wix, drag and drop wherever you want, or Elementor, but in an enterprise tool. It's amazing.
I remember when we talked like a month ago or two ago, when I said I have a dream to have one single web part, which we could call the SharePoint Universal Web Part, which is also something from Valo, right? Where then I could talk to that web part and say, hey, I like to have a section which is divided into, on the left side, you just add a divider with a few text, and on the right side, the hero web part. But that's, again, something me asking way too much, I guess. And then we also saw the ability to add a section with Copilot, right?
Yes.
That was also
pretty cool because it's grounded in the context. It's able to understand the site, the rest of the page. So when you add a new section, you just tell it what you want. It's so much better at giving you something closer to what you expect.
And they also said that it was context aware, meaning that it will check for your design, check for doubles. So pretty solid. Then we went for the very new announcement, the FAQ web part based on LLM.
So,
right?
you explain what the FAQ web part is, and then I'll tell you why I love it.
Okay, so FAQs, we all love it. Every information knowledge manager working loves to have FAQs. And basically now you have a web part where you can just upload a document and tell to your web part, hey, could you just create a FAQ based on that document? And then in 3 steps, you just select your chapters, the questions and answers, and then you just publish that, all based on Copilot.
You know what I loved about it is that too many AI tools, you just tell it, I want an FAQ, and then in 1 step, it gives you everything. Yeah. With the FAQ web part, you mentioned it briefly, but I want to really emphasize, the first thing it will return you are the categories. Yeah. So I'm not going to give you the questions and answers right away. Let's agree on the categories, order them the way you want, and after that, generate questions. Yeah. This way, you're not overloaded as a user of, oh, it gave me this big thing, I don't like the categories, I don't like the question, it's like, you hate it. But if you go 1 step at a time, you manage to kind of, hey, I don't like this 2 things here, rather than those 10 things in the final result, and your end result will be so much better, faster. What's next?
And what's next? And that's the last part. The last part was OneDrive.
OneDrive.
Remember that? I was like, wow, this is what we definitely need, because what we have seen is when you create an agent in SharePoint, now you get the chance to also upload data from your OneDrive as a source and also save this as a personal OneDrive. I was like, wow, this is something that we definitely need.
So that's amazing. Imagine, like, you create an agent, it's not good for everybody, but you can have your own agent in OneDrive. There's something that we're not sure about, and, we're doing this 30 minutes after the keynote, so we'd rather not tell you fake things.
We can place the image just here.
Yeah, but basically, in the UI, it said you can choose stuff from SharePoint or OneDrive. Now, we're not sure if you can mix and match them or not. Like, once you select OneDrive, is it OneDrive only, or is it still SharePoint and OneDrive? We'll find that out, and I guess we should do an updated SharePoint Agents video soon once that's production.
Then, we had a very brief update about the new Forms experience, but I was like, it was like literally 10 seconds, right?
Yeah, it was very fast.
Yeah, but then we went into AutoFill, something that you and myself really love, because we are content AI lovers, and we've been using AutoFill, and they also announced like the new fact that whenever you have a document library and you add some data, it will suggest you those brand new columns and fill in data into it.
So it's not only using a prompt to extract that information, but it's also telling you the columns that you need. It's amazing.
It was amazing. And then the last pillar was all about Power Platform-ish,
Copilot
Studio-ish, where we just saw how you could edit, like basically an agent with Copilot Studio and then save that in Teams.
Yeah, something they said, which they didn't click on it. When they were building the SharePoint agent, they said you can now edit it in Copilot Studio. The button is there today, but it opens a pop-up that says coming soon. Yeah. So they didn't click on it. They said it's available, but I'll believe it when I see it, because it's been there for like a couple months.
So then the keynote was done. Jeff Teber had done an amazing job. So thank you again, Jeff, for all what you're doing to the community, for the product, and for our life. And then we had a brief 15-minute break, and then we started the second keynote, which was all about security, right? Honestly, like half of it was even not for me, because it was not M365, it was really about Windows.
Well, pure security. Yeah. Windows 365, Defender, things like that.
But we still had some amazing features coming through SAM, which is your baby, right? Should I just list what we have seen and you go for it, or you just want to just jump in because I already see you excited to talk about it?
Sam is here, but
let's go.
I'll try and cover everything, and you tell me if I miss anything.
Fantastic.
Okay, so first thing new in SAM, we have a brand new report, is check the permissions of a specific user. So let's say that I want to see what Gokan has access to inside my tenant, because I don't really trust that guy. So I can go type in Gokan, I can type in a security group, and it will show me a list of all the places Gokan has access to. Maybe I look at them, and there's some of them, I'm not sure if Gokan should have access to them, but I don't know every site inside my tenant, so I can start an access review only on those sites. So that was one of them. After that, let's talk agents. The biggest problem with agent adoption is governance. admins want to be able to govern them, but we didn't have the tools. This changes today, at least in the slides. At least in the slides. But 2 new SharePoint agents reports. The first one is all the agents that you have. So you're going to see the agents that you have per site, how many people have access to them, all of that. And another one in SharePoint again, you're able to see what are the sites that are most accessed by SharePoint agents. They didn't really go into the reports.
No.
So they showed us they're there, but we haven't seen the results from those reports. Continuing with SAM, a feature that I actually have in my tenant, now I can talk about it, is semantic matching. So as admins, we don't know the content in our sites, but let's say I have a site with financial data. I can select it, and then I can tell SharePoint, find me all the other sites that have this type of data. So it will go through all the sites in my tenant and find all of them that also have financial data. And then I can say, apply the same policies, because maybe I want to say block downloads on all the sites with financial data. I can do that to all the sites. And something really interesting, I'm not sure if you knew that, Gokan, but it does not use purview sensitive information types.
Okay.
It uses semantic index. So it uses actually, you don't need to set up sensitivity labels, DLP for that to work. It really just uses AI. I think that's it for SAM.
Yes.
Then we went into the M365 Admin Center, which also covers your Copilot Studio agents, your Agent Builder agents. And what we have there, a bunch of new reports. First of all, we're able to see all our agents, are they used or not. We're also able to block who can create agents. And for specific agents, we can say, you know what, this is an HR agent. I don't want Gokan to have access to it. I'm sorry, Gokan. So I can limit it to certain people. Whew.
They are doing a lot of job.
They're doing a lot. Did I remember everything?
Everything was done. So
wow.
I'm just taking it over because you're too excited when it's about SAM. They are just investing a lot in agents, and we can clearly see it, like Copilot, and now it's agent, and all the infrastructure is getting ready for agents. And I know you have given that feedback like, hey, Microsoft, please love us admins and give us some governance tools. You're getting them slowly but surely.
I know.
Right?
Adam made fun of me on LinkedIn for that comment, but you got to find the comment for you to understand. But I think that's about it. We covered all the highlights from the keynote. Of course, like Gokan said, the security keynote also had a whole other bunch of content like about Windows 365, Defender, how to use AI security to secure AI, and things like that, like how to find jailbreaking prompts or things like that. So there's a lot of stuff there, but I feel like it's not for M365 admins and the audience as well. While some of them found it really interesting, a lot of them were like, this is amazing, but I don't have the permissions to do it, so I'm not the one doing it. This is it. Gokan, before we're done, if you have to choose one feature, or like at least a set of features, what would it be?
Well, for Teams, it would be the...
No, one.
Well,
you got to pick one.
AutoFill for SharePoint then.
AutoFill for SharePoint? Okay. Then, of course, my heart is on SAM, especially that now Microsoft is doing stuff for IT pros. So having those SAM features to govern agents is amazing. And second is Copilot Notebooks.
You said only one. I could only choose one. No, I could only choose one. You choose only one.
It's my channel, so I can just sort of. But no, I said first one is SAM and agents. That's my favorite one. On this, thank you so much, everyone. For those of you that missed the conference, I really hope that this takes some of that FOMO away, because now you've seen everything that Microsoft announced. So if you found this valuable, me and Gokan are going to record a bunch of other content at the conference. Make sure you follow Vlad Talks Tech on YouTube and subscribe to the channel to get the latest news.